Everybody, welcome to Drummers Education Connection. I am Bart Robley, and I am here with two of my great friends, Rick Stojak down in San Diego.
Hey.
The big Chip Ritter in Tucson, Arizona, who just told us a fantastic joke. So we're going to start today's show with a joke brought to you by comedian Chip Ritter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome to DEC. I'm Chip Ritter in the place to be. And the joke is, what's the difference between a puppy and a lead singer?
I don't know. What is it?
The puppy stops whining once you let him in the door.
Oh,
it's back.
wow. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, there you have it. Welcome to Drummers Education Connection. We're starting off with a bang today. Hey, so today's show is entitled I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends, Part 2. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But we want to start the show like we always do. We want to start off with a couple of things. First of all, we want to talk about our good things, and we'll get around to that in a second. But more importantly, if you want to support Drummers Education Connection in any way, shape, or form, you can do so by going to Rick. Tell them where to go to
drummerseducationconnection.com.
Or no,
Go to Facebook. Well, you can go everywhere to find us, Bart.
You can go everywhere to find us, but if you want to be a Patreon, what you can do is you can go to our Patreon page, and you can just help us by keeping the lights on by donating a little something to us. $5, $2, $1, whatever you
support the cause.
Yeah, support the cause for Drummers Education Connection. Keep us going, keep it live, and helps us keep the lights on and stuff like that. So today's episode, good things. So Rick, let's throw it to you. What good things do you got going on in your life today?
Man, it fits in. Welcome, everybody. It fits right in with our title, I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends. If you're a drummer and a drum teacher, you should get into the Sabian Education Network, which is an incredible resource for all drum teachers. There's constant episodes, audio episodes, video podcasts. There's all types of resources, and it's just a huge network of drummers. So the other week, Jim Royal was on, and they were doing an episode with Joe Bergamini, Jim Toscano, Jeremy from Pennsylvania, and the episode was on retaining students and how to keep those students once they're in the door. They did a previous one on recruiting new students. So Jim Royal mentioned my book, How to Build a Drum Groove. He mentioned the series, and that's not showing up. But by Jim Royal doing that, a bunch of the teachers went out and bought my book. Some of them,
that's awesome.
All 4 copies. And you know what? One incredible thing is Jim Toscano bought all the books. And one of my books is a fill book. Well, Jim Toscano has an incredible fill book himself, filling in the grooves. And so now that's the theme of our show right here, right? I mean, what a great name for a fill book. And so that's support of one another. And so I think that is just an incredible thing. We're all on the same team trying to help each other out. That's
what DEC has been about since day one. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's been about helping drummers and helping each other out. Chip, what good things do you have going on, my friend?
Man, I got a good thing. I have finished my Drummer's Guide to Juggling video download. It's available on chipritter.com, and people have bought it, and I'm so stoked and excited about that. The other good thing is I was doing my healthy walk every day, right? And my goal is to make sure that I get my steps in. I have a membership to the zoo. So my inner child, while I was in the car, was like, let's go to the zoo. And I was like, all right, hey, Siri, take me to the zoo. And so, she's trying to take me to the zoo now. Anyway, I went to the zoo and I walked around the elephants, which is my favorite part because I got this elephant on my arm and I love elephants. So I walked the elephants, I watched them, and then I went to go play the drums, and the drums were gone. They took the drums away from the zoo, and I freaked out and I got scared. So I went up to the manager and I asked, and it went down the chain and went down the chain, and they were like, okay, we'll call you when we let you know what's up with the drums. So at least the good thing is I'll finally figure out what communist took the drums away from the zoo, and that'll give me closure.
Why?
Oh, wow.
Where they had where did they have drums at the zoo?
I
They
have a
just had-
drum solo on my Facebook personal
I
page.
saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, those are the drums
Oh,
at the
okay.
zoo.
That's cool, man.
That's really,
That's my
really
good
cool.
thing. How about you, Bart?
Oh man, you know what? I got so much good stuff going on.
I'm
you
having
know-
coffee for Fred, by the way.
Oh, you know what? Hey,
All
yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, coffee
Fred?
for Fred Fisher. So good things. I got we're heading out on the road again. Hey, it's more surprising when I'm home, right? We're heading out on the road next week, going back east. We got some shows in Chicago, Nashville, all over the place. So we're excited about that. I got a show, kind of local show up in the mountains this week, Friday. So that'll be up in Lake Arrowhead. It's always beautiful up there. We'll get to go up there and spend some time in the mountains, get some fresh air. And so I got that going on. My book is doing well. My new book, The Rhythmic Journey, is doing really well.
Yeah.
And just life is good. Things are good. So that's what I got going on. Just same old, but I'm happy as a clam. So what can I say? All right.
Beautiful.
So today we have a show called I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends. And this show was originally inspired a couple months ago. We did part 1, and it was just one of those things where, Drummers Education Connection got started as a way for drummers to help drummers, drum teachers to help drum teachers. That's how this whole thing started. And we did a show called I Get By with a Little Help with My Friends. And we talked about things that either had happened for us or places where we had helped other drummers kind of, come in and do their thing. And so last week, and we kind of, that was a one and done. We were just kind of going to move on down the chain. So this week, we knew that our friend Jeremy, which we should say hello to him. Hi, Jeremy. He wasn't here today, obviously. Yeah, he's got a gig, and so he couldn't be here today. So I called Rick, and we're coming up with show ideas. And he said, hey, call our friend Fred Fisher. I said, okay. So we're all wearing his hat today. I called up Fred, left him a message. He called me back about 5 minutes later, and his voice, hey, Bart, it's Fred. How you doing? I'm like, what the heck's going on? The poor guy had an incredibly bad accident. He and his son, Jude, were back in Indianapolis. They were at a drum corps competition, and I don't know if you've seen them in your town. They're here in Southern California. They have these little rent-a-scooters, right? So you see a scooter sitting on the street, you put a credit card in it, you get on the scooter, you take it wherever you need to go, and you leave it there. The next person uses it. They're just all over the place. So anyway, my understanding was that Fred had gotten on one of those and was riding from his hotel to the drum corps competition back and forth, right? And he'd been doing it all weekend. They just finished. They're going back to the hotel to get their luggage and get on the plane to come home. They live in Idaho. And he's riding along, and there was an 18-inch drop off on the road that they're on, just fell. And Fred fell and broke his leg severely, like really, really, really broke his leg severely. He sent some pictures of the x-ray.
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, we're not going to share that on deck because number one, like Chip says, it's pretty rough. And number two, I don't have Fred's permission to do that. I don't want to do that, but it was
I'm sure
it was
he
pretty
will
rough.
after it's all over.
I'm sure he will too, man. He's going to be like Dave Grohl and get a T-shirt made after it,
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's going to be out of work for a while. So I put a GoFundMe together, and we decided, hey, let's do I Get By with a Little Help with My Friends Part 2. And we're going to talk about some other stuff. We don't want it to just be an infomercial. We're going to talk about other stuff where people have helped us or we've helped other people, just trying to show how to make things happen. And at the same time, please help support Fred, because what I want to say is this. All of us, all three of us and four of us, Jeremy included, this is how we make our living. I make my living right here behind this kit, talking into that camera 4 days a week, teaching students all over the world. Then I go out on the road with my band. I do recording sessions right here in this room. I've this is what I do for a living, and it's no easy task making a living with a pair of drumsticks. Anybody that does it will tell you that. And I'm not being a martyr here. I love every second of everything that I do. It's feast and famine. Some months you do great, some months not so much. And it's how you build your business. Well, Fred has built this amazing business in Idaho. His wife, Mary, runs the recording studio part of it. He calls her the engineer, and she does all the engineering, and she's a great singer and a very accomplished piano player. And they do all this amazing stuff, and they teach a lot of young kids, and they help a lot of people through music. Well, Fred has this injury that is going to wipe him out for, I'm sure, the better part of a year at the very least. He's going to get back into the game, and I'm sure, and if it was me, I'd be, okay, I'm going to teach hand technique and talk to that about my students and go down that road. Let's get out the Nard book. Let's get out syncopation. Let's work on our hands.
He's going to be back. He's going to be back on the pad before a year.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying within a week he's going to be back. 2 weeks he's going to be back. But I'm saying back behind the kit, going on the road, because Fred is in a band. He's in 2 bands. They tour all the time. He does recording sessions all the time. He cuts drum tracks all the time for people there in his studios. That part's kind of taken away for right now, and he's going to be back on it, no doubt, but it's kind of taken away. So we're trying to help him out. So we put together the GoFundMe page. The GoFundMe page, you can find it everywhere. It's on Fred's wall. You can go to my personal wall, Bart Robley. You can go to Rick's and Chip's. You can go right here to Drummers Education Connection, or you can go to the Drummers Education Connection private page. You can see it there. And what we're asking is if you guys can donate to that. And if it's $5, $1, whatever you got, just to help him out, because it's all adding up very nicely for him. Every penny that we make, we're sending to him. I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever done a GoFundMe, but the way they do it, they send the money to you in increments. Like, you don't just get the money all in one lump sum. They send it to you in increments. So this morning I got a chunk of the money. They sent it to me. I woke up. It was in my account. I Venmo'd him immediately. So every penny that we make with this thing is going directly to him, to his family, to help them out. And
don't forget something, Bart. Don't forget something. When you bless somebody with something really good, it enables them to bless somebody else with something good. And what goes around comes around. And you get blessed eventually. Somehow, some way, your life is going to improve if you help out in a situation like this.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's, it's better. Yeah, I do too, man. You're right, Chip. You nailed it. And it's it's better to give than to receive. Right. And so by saying all this stuff, myself personally, and for Drummers Education Connection, we're not sitting here breaking our arm, patting ourselves on the back, saying how great we are. Exactly the opposite. We're just saying our friend is in a bad spot right now. And so we're asking the drumming community to step up and help him. And then we're going to tell some stories, and we'll start with those right now. So God bless Fred. Fred, if you see this or you're listening to this, Mary, if you're watching us, we got on your hats. We're supporting you. We are Team Fred Rock, and whatever we can do to help you guys out, we will. So we're going to tell some stories here now about how we've been helped, or we've tried to help others, and how it in turn, helped the drumming community, or helped the student, or somebody helped us, because I think it's important to recognize that. So Chip, I'm going to throw it to you, because you, my friend, are one of those guys that I've known you for a long time, and you've always got this thing where it's like, Chip every once in a while will just call me and go, Bart, how you doing? What can I do to help you out today? And I love that so much. So Chip, give me an example of where you've helped somebody, or somebody have helped you and you've been blessed. Please take it away.
Okay. What do you want to hear about specifically? Ask me a question.
Okay. Give me a part in your life, whether it be through drumming or whatever, where somebody's really helped you out when you were down and out, and it lifted you up.
Well, I had reached my bottom as an alcoholic and a drug addict. I reached my bottom, and I was suicidal and hopeless in my life. I called a man who said, give me a call if you ever get serious about not drinking. And I said, my name's Chip. I need help. And he told me what to do that day. Then he met me at Boggs Big Boy. This man drove 3 hours in LA traffic out of his way to come pour syrup over my pancakes and explain my situation and what I needed to do in order to hopefully save my life and get out of that situation. And one day at a time, over many years, he basically saved my life with that information. So he helped me live. And then once I got the program going and, learn how to do the schedule and everything and the things that it takes to do that, I was enabled to help other guys that come in one by one here and there and guide them the way he guided me, carrying a message of hope. And it saved, I don't know how many lives. I have a couple of people that I worked with in the past. When I'm down and out today, I'll go on their Facebook page. A guy that I helped 10 years ago, he's got 10 years without a drink or a drug, and he's living his dreams, and he's got his kids on his shoulder, and just makes me weep with joy about how what a great thing that the seed that guy planted in me is sprouting through in small ways through others. It doesn't work with everybody, but there's some success stories with that. That guy helped me out the most, I think. And then when it comes to drumming, I have a student named Steve Benj. He happens to be a very successful realtor in Tucson, and he called me after taking lessons for a long time with me. He would say something like, "This kit doesn't have a cowbell." And I was like, "Well, we're working on that." And the next lesson, he came in with 2 cowbells, and then, like, "What kind of heads are these?" "Well, this one's kind of old." And I'm like, "Well, I'm working on that." And then he, next thing you know, I got a brand new pack of heads he bought. And then he just blesses people with stuff like that. And so last Christmas, and this is my main story that I thought of when I get by with a little help from my friends, one of my students named Jamie didn't have a drum set, but was taking lessons, and she really wanted to be a drummer. You could just tell when they're really trying and how they stick their tongue out a certain way. And they're all in on the lesson, and they want to play and be the best drummer they can be. And She was really working hard on her lessons and doing great on the pad work, but not able to do the drum set work. And I was just, God, it'd be great if she could have a drum set. And I talked to her, and she was just like, "Yeah, it's not possible right now, but this is this, that is that." And so I got with Steve. I called Steve up and I said, "Hey, Christmas is coming, Steve. You want to go half in on this Simmons electric kit with me for a student of mine?" And Steve didn't drop a bat an eye. He was like, "Count me in. I'm done. Done deal." So I went to Guitar Center and we picked up this great Simmons kit. And at church on the Sunday before Christmas, I called her dad and we snuck the drum set into her room, and she got to walk in for a great Christmas. So that was helping somebody. Drummers helping drummers.
Yeah.
That's
Love
amazing. That's amazing.
Wow.
That
Beautiful,
just shows,
Chip.
that's a great story, man. That's a great story. Rick, what about you? Give me a little something where somebody's really blessed you and helped you through drumming or just in life in general.
Well, one day during COVID, in a dark time, I got a call from Bart Robley, and he said, "Hey, I've been talking to Chip Ritter, and we have an idea. We thought we would let's just talk, the 3 of us, and share ideas about how we're going to maintain our businesses through COVID, through the shutdown." And then the 3 of us talked, and we were like, I think a light bulb went on all at the same time for all 3 of us.
Yeah.
We didn't have an intent that we were going to make a show, but it just seemed that the content was so rich and interesting, and we were helping each other out so much that
we were like, "We got to share this."
Yeah, we've got to share this information. And then I knew we needed one more. We needed a really smart guy. So I
That can spell good. That can spell good.
Spell good, right? And he wrote a book, and a jazz guy to balance out our rock and rollness. So it was very obvious that we should connect in with Jeremy Steinkohler up in the Bay Area. And we decided to make this video podcast. And it's been 174. This is episode 174, I believe.
It is.
And we started off with a different name, and we went through a few different names. We settled in under Drummers Education Connection, DEC, and the key word is connection, which is community. And everyone will tell you, you will have longevity and be a happier person if you have a community, and cooperation rather than competition will lead you on a happier, perhaps more successful path. So that's what's so great about this. So anytime I have a question, all the time, I'm in teaching drums, teaching drums 100 hours a month. The student has a question. So often I write down that question, and because I give them an answer, and I think, well, I wonder what Bart, Chip, Jeremy, and all of our guests, how they would answer that question. So I've grown so much as a drum teacher, as a drummer, and then I've been able to share all that information because we have this big effing think tank here.
Yeah.
You've been anointed with a think tank.
We've been anointed with a think tank, and we were anointed with the technology to do this.
That's right.
That goes back to our earlier episode.
That goes back to the early days, man. That's an old one. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, a podcast, there's a million podcasts out there, but I think we've got a lot of heart and soul, and we've had some of the greatest guests in the world share information. And then on the platforms of Facebook and YouTube, you can chime in and ask us questions and make contributions. It's not just about us. It's about everybody who wants to participate. And I tell you what, Bart, you work your butt off. You're always helping us out. You just put the show up on Spotify and Apple Music. And I just had a student who said, hey, man, I listened to the Billy Cobham interview on Spotify because I'm a Spotify guy. Awesome. And he listened to the whole episode. I was so stoked. And so you did that, Bart, by working with that technology to get it up on Spotify. So none of this is easy that you're watching here.
Yeah, as far as the show's concerned, just like springboarding off of what you just said, this also will go into like the lesson part of things. What I want everybody to realize who watches this is watching it now or watches it in the future or listens to it on one of the podcast platforms. Whenever you witness something that somebody is doing and they're really good at it, or you're listening to a podcast that you really like, you're witnessing the end result of a lot of work. And really, right. in our case, this is the end result of what, 4 years now? Coming up on 4 years, because
coming up on 4.
Because at Christmas time, this will be our fourth Deck the Hall show. I judge everything by Christmas. I love Christmas. So we're coming up on the fourth Deck the Hall. So we're kind of like coming up on our 4th year, let's say. And so and again, with the hard work thing, there's a lot of hard work in it, but I think if you're doing it right, it's a labor of love. And here's what I really appreciate about Drummers Education Connection. This is where I've been blessed someplace, okay, in this with Deck, is that, we've all been in bands or had band members who like one individual is doing all the work, and then, the other guys at Knott's Berry Farm, or, the other guys, oh, sorry, I'm out of town. I can't do anything. Or, I'd love to, but I'm at the beach. And I'm not begrudging anybody enjoying their life. I mean, no, go to Knott's Berry Farm and to the beach and on vacations. Do that. I'm not saying that. But when you're trying to reach a goal, if one person is pulling the weight and not everybody's chipping in, that can be tiresome. And everybody here on Deck, I'm always getting texts from, Rick and Chip and Jeremy. Hey, what if we did a show on this? Hey, I got Billy Cobham coming in. Hey, I got this guy come. We're all like really just like, rowing the boat, and I've been blessed with that because like you said, Rick, and Chip said too, I know I've learned so much from this. One of the things Rick always comes in with, and at the very beginning, it was like questions from students. And the first time I was like, oh, it's a great idea. And then we did it. And then questions from students part 2. And then we did part 3. And at first I was reluctant. I was like, I don't know, man, we've done 2 of them. Do we really need to do a 3rd one? Well, guess what? Those are some of the greatest shows. And I'm like, man, Rick really nailed that one because you're getting like, yeah, you're getting a question from somebody that maybe you've heard the question before, but then you're getting the answer from 3 other drummers and other people
Right.
chiming in, right?
Right.
And
Right.
a lot of times on the YouTube channel, we'll get somebody will watch the show and they'll chime in with somebody and say something about the show, and it's up there on YouTube for everybody to see. And you're like, oh, yeah, I never thought of that. Or I got I got a joke the other day. I didn't tell you guys. Remember we did the show a little while back on the bad gig, and
Yeah.
Chip was telling a story about how the guy grabbed his harp and started playing through the microphone and was out of tune and out of key and everything, and we were kind of begging on harp players for a while.
Yeah.
Somebody on that show chimed in and they go, man, I got into town. I was new in town and I parked my I parked my truck outside this club and went inside the club to sit in with the band, but I left my harps on the seat. And they're sitting there right on the front seat for everybody to see. And somebody smashed my window out and they left another set of harps and
Oh my gosh.
that's a good one. So anyway,
man.
and it's another thing. We get laughs from this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that has been going on with Fred. So when he broke his leg, and this to all you drum teachers out there, I want to really advise this to you guys. Okay. We all talk about as drum teachers that the best thing that you can do for yourself is stylistically be on your toes, right? Like
Right.
have your hand in jazz, have your hand in some Latin stuff, have your hand in some Afro-Cuban stuff. Know how to play some funk, know how to do these things, because somewhere along the line, you're going to get a student that wants to learn it. You're going to have a student that's like,
Right.
how do I do this? And you don't want to. I know 2 things. Number one, if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I want to learn conga, I got a set of congas right there and I record them and I play them, but I'll get them enough to get them going. And then I know, okay, well, now I'm going to send you to my friend Frank Ortega because he's a great conga player. If I get a drummer,
Right.
hey, I want to learn jazz. Okay, well, let's get into the John Riley book. I'll get you going a little bit. And you're really into it, man. You really are digging deep. Here's Jeremy's number. Give him a call, right?
Right.
So we learn these things, and so you get diverse in your playing and your teaching. Well, so to help Fred out, what I've been doing is just like, I don't want his students to be without a lesson. I said, hey, look, if I can help out in any way, other over and above anything else, if any of your students need a lesson or whatever, just tell them to call me. I can get them a lesson while you're down and out till you get back home and get back on your feet and get things going. He's like, man, I'd really appreciate that. So a few of his students called me and I'm like, yeah, I can fit you in here, here, and here. So the last couple of days I've been getting all these lessons and it's been amazing. It's been so much fun to connect with some of his students and hear all these great stories about what an amazing drum teacher Fred is and what a great guy he is. Now here's the thing about being a drum teacher where you have to be diversified. I can't take somebody else's drum student. I'm not trying to take anybody's drum student from them, first of all. I'm just trying to help out a friend. And secondly, when they're coming to me for a lesson, I can't go, well, you're working on this with Fred. Let's do what I teach. I want to meet them where they're at. I want to go, okay, well, this is what Fred's showing them. Oh, yeah, well, you know what? Well, this is the way I would do it. You can talk to Fred about this next week when he's back up and running, but this is the way I would do it. And so, like, man, it's all over the place. I want to play the Purdy Shuffle. Okay. I want to work on my Radamicus. Okay. So have your stuff ready, let that be almost like to a gig, right? You don't want to get to a gig and not know how to play the songs, right? Have your stuff ready. Be able to get out of your lane as a teacher and get in another lane and be able to keep up with the people there. I think that's really important. So it's been a great, even though that's been a blessing for me, because man, I've been able to help these students, but I've learned a lot. Like, okay, I can keep up with this guy,
Right.
And so do that. What do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's great. You're doing that, Bart, and I'm sure you're helping Fred out with that when the students do the pay, because you're a very generous guy. But we don't need to talk about the details of that. But
Yeah, no,
I
no,
tell
no,
you
no,
what,
no.
you got a
I just
big heart, man. You got a big, big heart doing that. And that is going
well,
to make you a better drum teacher because they're studying with a master. Fred is probably the most underrated drummer ever. I mean, that guy is a serious drummer. And so to
dude,
take on
Fred's
his
a
students, that,
badass, man. That
yeah,
dude's a badass. And again, look, I appreciate you saying that. That's not why I told the story. I told the story
yeah,
more as a place of, hey, guys, be ready because this could, think about it like a gig. That's why I said that.
right.
What if you get a call from Sting and you want to throw down with Sting? Be ready for that.
Be
Have your
ready for it.
stuff. Be ready. That's why.
Well,
But thank you for that. But But yeah, Fred is a badass, Rick.
yeah. Well, what comes to mind is sharing students that I don't teach a lot of kids.
Mm,
I don't really teach any kids at this point. I've got a roster of adults and teenagers who are really in it. And I know myself, I know what is going to energize me and I know what's going to inspire me as a teacher.
yeah.
And I've taught thousands of kids, well, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids. I don't know the numbers, but it's not my thing anymore. And I know that I'm not going to be great at that. But boy, if they call me up, I don't want to go, well, I can't do it. You're on your own. I want to refer them to somebody really, really competent. So that's where I've referred students to you guys.
Yeah.
Get an online lesson and go with you guys. I know Bart, you've had one that's stuck for a long time. And
Carter.
yep, I have a guy in the who's moving up to the Bay Area. He's a jazz nut and into fusion, and he's leaving San Diego. He doesn't want to do online. I just gave him Jeremy's number when he's up. He's going to be up in Berkeley, right where Jeremy is.
Yeah.
So, and then I think it might go with specialty stuff.
I remember during COVID when Rick sent me a 4-year-old.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody with a better disposition to work with a young kid than you, Chip. I mean, got that.
We have fun like Tigger.
I bet you they want to grab your cheeks and go, Chip, that's my teacher. but let's say somebody wanted to get into conga. I can just teach a little bit of conga, but then I'm going to refer out.
Right.
Yep.
I think if you do the opposite, you're kind of doing that student a disservice, and you're doing the instrument, you're doing yourself a disservice,
right.
because
Yeah.
So I want to tell this story. I told it during the last I get by with a little help from my friends, and I think it bears repeating because if you didn't see that episode or you haven't watched it, a dear friend of mine who's since passed away, he took lessons with me for a long time. His name was Dean Drums. That was his online name, Dean, and his last name was Drums. And his tagline was, "I love drums." So everything he did, he would do whatever, and he would put on Facebook. I've known him. I knew him since, remember, MySpace, way back then. And he would always put up a picture of something, and he'd say, "I love drums," and that's his thing, right? And man, just what a great guy. And he came out and took lessons with me, and he would drum tech for me, and he did all this stuff. He was a dear guy. Anyway, we were playing one night. We had a gig across town, right? We had a gig at a place in Fullerton, which is right by my house. And then we had a gig all the way across town. And this is in Los Angeles traffic. Okay. So if you've never experienced Los Angeles traffic, so it
watch NASCAR. It's like that.
It's watch NASCAR. But it 3 miles an hour. Okay.
Right.
Right. So we get
90 miles an hour or
90, one or the other.
It's 90 or 3. There's no in between. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to get from Fullerton all the way out to San Dimas, right? And it was the Fullerton place was just jam-packed full, and getting all the way across to San Dimas. And this place in Fullerton, it was a little narrow, long club. When I say it was little, I mean it's not narrow, or it's real narrow, but it's long. like, so you can get, I don't know, 200 people in there, and we always packed it out. Well, you try to get your stuff past 200 people, you're not going to get out of there fast. And so I'm
Right.
telling Dean, I'm like, dude, I have no idea how in the heck I'm going to pull this off, because I got to get my kid in there. I got to set up and play my in-ear system, everything. I got to tear it down, pack it up, get in my car, and get across town within an hour. It's not going to happen. And Sam booked the gig. I don't know what to do. He goes, I got you. He had this beautiful Ludwig kit. I'm a Gretsch guy, but he had this beautiful Ludwig kit. It was a blue onyx, just like like a Ringo kit. He goes, I'm going to bring that kit. I'm going to bring my cymbals. I'm going to bring everything. He goes, you bring your stick bag. That's it. And he goes, bring your in-ears. And he goes, when you're done, you get out of there. He goes, you set up my drums however you want, tear them apart, do whatever you want. And he goes, when you're done, you just stand up and leave. And if you try to talk to anybody, I'm going to chase you out to your car. Okay. So sure enough, he brings his drums in, he sets them up. I play the gig. I'm packing up my in-ears. I grab my stick bag. Somebody starts talking to me. Bart, get out of here. You got to get to the gig. Okay. I jump in my car. Poof, I'm across town, and the gig across town was a backline gig. So I didn't have to bring any drums, just my stick bag and my in-ears. Run up on the stage, set the drum set up, put my stick bag on. The rest of the guys come in. Within 10 minutes, we're playing. It was really a tight thing. But Dean really, if it wouldn't have been for Dean, the gig wouldn't have gone off. And we lost Dean a couple of years ago. He passed away. He had cancer. And but that's how I remember my friend. I remember him as this guy that was helpful, and he was a shining example of what the drumming community is about. And it was helping other people out. Have you guys ever had anything like that happen to you? Have you ever had a situation like that?
I'm still unpacking what your first question was.
Well, the first question is just that. Have you ever had somebody help you with maybe not the first question, but the question here, have you ever had somebody help you at a gig when there's no way you could have got a drum set there, or you could have got into the gig or out of the gig?
I was playing in 1997. My metal band was opening up for Ronnie James Dio. And we had the sound guys, the tech guys were like, look, man, you have to get this thing off the stage. You can't break it down. You just got to move it and get it out to that car. And I was like freaking out and stressed about the gig by itself. And my friend E. Schumeister, he was a drummer in town that turned me on to Trick Drums, coincidentally. He just patted me on the back, and he's like, dude, I got you, dude. I got you. And as soon as I got done, E was on the stage, grabbing drums, running to the parking lot, and we got the kid off like that, and it was awesome. So, yeah, I've been helped like that. But, more to the point, I'd like to say something about this. I get by with a little help from my friends. To somebody watching who might be younger and not really socially as evolved as some of the things we're talking about, I just want to say, number one, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody if you're in need of something and ask. And if you're afraid to ask for help directly, ask for guidance, ask for direction, ask for, hey, I'd like to buy a new China cymbal. Do you know anybody that knows China cymbals that might be able to, point me in the right direction? And then if they say, I don't know, here's a tip. Ask them, well, if you did, who would it be? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get an answer. And the other thing I wanted to say about positivity with Rick, this is not competition, Rick. We're not competing as drum teachers. We're creating,
Right.
So I like to say that when you're on Facebook in a drummer group and they got some trolls on there talking smack about some kid's video, and they're being negative, because that does happen in the drum community. It happens on social media quite frequently. When they are competing, you can do a couple things, but I like to just say when I make a post to that person in response to their negative comment, I just type in compete with yourself, create with the world. How's that?
Yeah.
Boy, Chip, bravo.
I like
Right?
that.
But
Chip,
yeah,
you're on
man,
fire.
yeah, it's a
You're
good
on
thing.
fire. Yeah. Wow, Chip, you are on fire again. And Chip, what I like about what you said is so much of that reaching out is actually making a connection with other people. Uh-oh, we
Right.
lost Chip for a
We
second.
lost Chip.
It's
That's okay.
making a connection with other people. I you could have 10,000 friends on social media. They may not really be your friends. Sorry, they're not,
I don't know
you
these
know,
people.
most of them want to be your friends because they want to connect to have their numbers up. But in what Chip was saying in that spirit is it's reaching out to people. It's getting to know one another and truly knowing and offering true, sincere friendship and trying to help one another out with whatever they need, whether it's gear, like Bart, your question. Yeah, I've had so many gigs, like when I played Psychobilly, where backline was provided. So I've played on drum sets that people have provided, and that's just a constant thing, and you just have to get used to playing on other people's kits. But I've supplied backline for other drummers, and other drummers have supplied backline for me, and that's how it goes. It's not a, oh, my kit, I want the best looking kit on the set, so you can't use my
Right.
drums. It's it
Right.
doesn't really work effectively like that. We're all, the teamwork, once again, that theme, like really helping each other out. And when someone provides a backline, they provide a drum set, if I know that's happening, I'm going to bring drum heads. I'm going to bring them some backup drum heads and put some nice Aquarians on if there's time. And they're stoked. Like, they provided a drum kit. He's back. They provided a drum kit, but I provided a drum head. And, I've taught younger drummers who are on the build, like, how to tune drums.
There you go. Yeah.
And so they provided me a kit. They got a drum head and they got a tuning session. And so it's all about that cooperation and reaching out and really trying to help each other out. So, Chip, you're back. We missed you.
Yeah.
You had a great point there.
I also remembered another story if you want to hear it.
I do.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
2010, I went to play the Drummers for Jesus Festival in Dallas, Texas, and I went there and I noticed there were touring drummers, famous drummers like the cat from Brian Hitt from REO Speedwagon, and Brian Cupp, the guy that runs Agner Swift Drumsticks. And these guys have roadies when they tour, right? And I saw these guys carrying gear into the building and setting drums up for other drummers that were going to play and just giving them themselves. And I kept trying to grab a piece of the gear. And one of the guys said, no, man, it's my turn to set up. It's my turn to give. I feel blessed when I do this for other people, and it's like, if you take that stand from me, you're kind of taking away an opportunity for me to give something. And, they got all set up. And then the night on Thursday, the day before the show, my father died, and I was beside myself, and I was in grief. And without saying anything before the show, the promoter gathered every drummer, Aaron Spears, Marvin McQuitty, all these gospel players with the amazing chops. They gathered around in a big circle and held my hand and said a prayer for me specifically. And it's just, I can't tell you how much that means to me and how much it helped me through that time. So, that was a time when drummers were helping drummers for sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's a really inspiring story. And the fact that you had all those people around to lift you up and you still got up there and played. Man,
the show must go on. Yeah, my dad.
Hey, man, I bet you played your ass off too.
Yeah, I got a video. I can post a link if you won't mind.
I would love that. And I tell you what, I mean, I've never seen Chip not play his ass off, folks. But when I can imagine in that situation, you must have been like, just how do I follow that?
Yeah. So this makes me think about, well, what can I do in the course of my day to help out other drummers? What are some of the things? And like the first thing that jumped up is, if somebody posts something that on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform that drumming related, that I think is really, really helpful, I could hit like, I could make a comment. That's cool. But if I really like it, share it.
Yeah.
that's just a great thing. And then interact. And if you're interacting sincerely with someone else on social media, they're going to respond and they're going to interact with you. If it's just surfacey,
Yeah.
like just I'm going to, oh, I don't know you, but let's be friends, and then you friend them, and then all they're doing is sending a picture of themselves 100 times a day, 100 pictures of them with a drum kit at a different angle. That's not helping me. But true interaction. And then kind of like what Chip is saying, man, call people up, and then thinking about sharing all this gear. Try to make, if you're sharing equipment, which is going to happen more than you think in the future, as you start gigging more, help everybody set up quickly. When you're done, if someone's playing after you, get off the stage as quick as possible. Help the setup, help the show run smooth, help the drummer who's coming on next to you or after you, help them set up their gear so it's really, really fast so they can optimize their performance. Like we've done at Deck Days. We are all, boy, if we're four guys who have different body sizes and shapes.
Really? I didn't notice.
I mean, God, but we're sharing drum kits.
That's one of the, you know what, Rick? And that's one of the comments that I got after the first Deck Day over at Aquarian.
Yeah.
One of my students was there. Well, a lot of my students, but one of my students made the comment. He's a guy that's out there playing and stuff. And he says to me, he goes, I've been to drum clinics where everybody says, well, it's going to run on the hour. And it runs 2 hours late, but it's supposed to be a 5-hour thing, and it ends up being 10. And everybody's got to be just right before they play. He goes, man, you guys were literally on the hour every time.
Yeah.
And as soon as somebody was done, they started tearing down, and everybody's helping the next guy. And it was really inspiring. And I think that, drummers seeing other drummers help each other, again, like Chip said, it's not a competition. It's a community. It is our tagline. Like if you look at the Drummers Education logo, right? If you look at the logo, Drummers Education Connection, performance, insight, and inspiration. And grabbing somebody's snare drum and setting it over here is like, that's second nature to the three of us. Oh, here, Chip needs help. Here, hand me the pedal. You just help each other. But when somebody sees that from the outside, that's inspirational. Oh, you were helping your bro. Well, I mean, he would help me too. On
the topic of competition versus creation, I have a PSA for all drummers out there. If you're going to compete against a guitar player, dude. Stay with the home team, baby.
That's right.
In all seriousness, drummers have been the brunt of jokes for probably centuries.
That's why I like guitar player and harmonica and banjo jokes.
I know, and it's so fun. But seriously, we do it all in good fun.
Yeah. We do, and I love good drummer jokes. I love drummer jokes. I do.
I had a singer help me load in once, by the way.
What?
No.
I had a singer help me load in gear once.
No.
What's the date? We need to mark that on the calendar.
Yeah, but that's like, you got a picture? That's like seeing Sasquatch. I don't believe it.
You know how many singers it takes to put in a light bulb?
How many?
One. He just stands there and the world revolves around him.
Get up.
Man.
So what else can we do, guys? What else?
Well,
anything off the top of your heads?
What else can you do to help?
People out?
Yeah, well, here's what I do, because Chip and I are on the same page with this. I never tell anybody else how to believe. I try to lead by example. I fail miserably at times. Believe me, I have failed miserably in my life, but I try to lead by example of, I may not be the best drummer I may not be the best drummer, but I'm going to be the strongest workhorse in the barn, and that's what I always try to be. So I try to lead by example, and I am, every day I get up and I kind of, it's a real simple personal time. I get up in the morning, I go out, we got a little fountain in the back. I plug in the fountain, I make sure it's got water in it. I water some of the plants, get my day going, and I say a prayer. And I ask God, hey, help me today by giving me strength, be with my friends and my family, and let the people that come in contact with me today see you shine through me. It's not about me. It's like letting, and whatever your belief in God is, there's something, I think we can all agree that there's something out there bigger than us, right? And I'm a personal believer in Jesus Christ, and I want people to see him through me. I don't want to, be like, bah, bah, bah. It's not about me. It's about trying to, just be a better person. And again, I fail miserably all the time. I mean, we all do, but I try. And so that's my way of asking for wisdom and strength.
Right on.
I don't, hey, God, kick me down a new set of Gretches. I mean, that's kind of up to me, but
God's like,
would you like a 20 or a 22-inch kick?
I will take a 26, please.
Right
I'm
on,
tall. But yeah, I think that's what I like to do.
So
That's
what I
beautiful,
like to do on Facebook, instead of trolling and going through the negative stuff, I like to think about writing a gratitude list down regarding drumming. What am I grateful for about my drums today? And it could be the snare drum, could be the way my hi-hat sounds really chicky and shushy if I like it. I could just write out a list of 5 things I'm grateful for regarding music and drumming. And then I think about that. And what gets me going is if I make a discovery, if I'm taking a lesson from Glenn Sobel and I discover his theory on BPMs and his Bruce Lee training system on, where to watch out where you're doing the rim shots and how to use the thumb technique with the fingers, I get on Facebook and I share that with people.
Yeah.
I find something new about my lesson teaching. If I have a breakthrough with a student that's got Williams syndrome, I share that about, look what I did that worked. And, that's a really great way to help. And you never know who's going to benefit from it. And you're going to feel better by doing it, especially if you feel bad. If you feel depressed or bummed out, or like, hey, I'm in a competition and I'm losing, or you listen to a Rush song and you throw your sticks in the trash because Neil Peart was so great and he, it's already been done before and you don't know what you have to offer the world and just, what am I going to do? You can just write out a little gratitude list and it might change your attitude. You never know.
Yeah.
I like that, Chip. I have a thought here that on the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And you've got to be competent. So you have to know what you're doing. But very likely your success as a musician is going to come through recommendations of other musicians.
Right, exactly.
So many endorsements. People through this show have received endorsements through the connection of this. We've been referred by different people which has created some of our endorsements. So many times a gig is going to come from some drummer who can't do the gig and is going to recommend you because you're a cool person, a reliable person, and a passionate drummer because you're really into it and you're really, really capable. So never refer off somebody, if you can't do a gig, don't refer a drummer that you don't think is good. Refer somebody better than you. If they take your gig, well, then so be it. They earned it. But it's going to come down to the network and the community. And so I think that's just really, really good stuff to keep in mind. You could have the fastest chops and all, and if you're just sitting there in your house practicing and you're not out there networking and getting to know people, it's going to be a lot harder to get far.
Yeah, another good idea for you drummers watching out there. When somebody says the word networking, if you cringe, if you're like, ugh, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to do it. I'm afraid, blah, blah, blah. DM me, Bart or Rick or Jeremy, and ask.
Yeah.
How do you go about networking? How do you improve your people skills? How do you get over yourself at NAM and walk up to the vice president of Vic Firth and talk about your career and what you can do to help the stick company? Because I've learned things like that, and we can share that info with you. We're wide open. It's just waiting for you.
Chip, well said. You know, and I think about the younger players right now. I don't see the limitation of their success as they're playing. I see it as their people skills.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that, and I want to springboard off of what you guys are saying. You know, the music business has changed. I mean, the music business is not what it was when I was in my 20s, right? And if you want to be the next Instagram, Facebook influencer and throw chops down all day in a room by yourself, go for it. Knock yourself out. That's your thing. You do it. Call me. I'll show you a flam, a bar to diddle diddle, and then play it faster than me. Okay. There it was. Rick played a flam, a bar to diddle diddle.
There it is.
Yeah. So, I think that if you want to do that, that's great. But if you want to be out there, you want to be working, you want to be in the band, you have to learn a couple of things that I think are really important. And I'm echoing what Rick just said. There's a point where your playing is taken for granted, right? It's just, you can play. Okay. You got good time. You can do whatever. You can play the gig, but you got to live in a bus with that guy, or you got to live in an Airbnb with that guy. And people are people, man. People, I'm going to make you angry and you're going to make me angry. We're going to get on each other's nerves. Now, can we go stand over here and cool down, or can we have a blow up and then come and hug it out? Or can we just get along? Because sometimes that's a tough one. And I think that those skills are so important. And, one of the things about, Matt Starr, for instance, man, that guy is a networking king. And he had a thing yesterday that I watched, one of his shorts that he put up, and he said something that was brilliant. And it was something to the effect of, networking. You're going to learn more, and you're going to get outside of your shell by being around people that think differently than you. And you don't shut them down. You listen to what they have to say and you absorb that. And I was like, wow, yeah. I mean, you just do. You learn from that stuff. So from being around people that are different than you, that think differently than you.
And if I may add something, I want to interject here.
Yeah.
If to those of you who are younger and listening to this, that kind of like say, okay, and you write down, Bart said, get around people who do that. When you're around those people, put your phone in your pocket and lift your chin up and make eye contact with those people, because they're humans and it's going to be cool.
Exactly.
Man, I like your advices, guys.
Man, this is good stuff. Okay, last piece of advice I'm going to give everybody. We're going to close the show out with this. Go to Drummers Education Connection. Find the Fred Rock Fisher, the I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends, to Fred, the GoFundMe. We've already raised quite a bit of money for Fred, and like I said, I sent him over a chunk of cash this morning. And every time GoFundMe sends me the money, it's going right to him. And if anybody has any, you're not giving him the money, blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, keep that in your head. And if you want to see the accounting, I got it all. Every penny's going to Fred. He's a great dude. He needs our help.
Bart is running a transparent operation for sure.
I am. I'm running. You heard of the Ponzi scheme? I'm running a Barty scheme. And we're sending all that money to Fred, trying to help him and Mary, his wife, and poor Jude, man. Man, that little guy, he got banged up and he was scared, and I just feel so bad for him. I broke my leg when I was a kid, and that vulnerability you feel anytime at any age, but when you're a little kid like that, oh my gosh, my heart went out to him as well. And so let's help Fred out, get him a few bucks. And if you can't, you don't have the money. Hey, if you can just grab the post and share it, you never know who it's going to reach. That would be helpful. And just send some prayers out for Fred and his family. Send out some good vibes for Fred and his family. They're wonderful people. And man, I tell you, Fred is an amazing drummer and an amazing drum teacher. And we need him back. We need him back in our
Fred,
ranks.
get back.
And we need him. I need some drum lessons. So Fred, if you see this, get better. I need help. We all got on our Fred Rock Fisher hats. Chip Ritter signing off from Tucson, Arizona. You knocked it out today. Rick Stojak from San Diego. I'm in Ontario. I'm going to try to hit the stop button. Rick's at home today, so he doesn't have a drum set. So I'm going to hit the end thing, and then I'm going to try to play drums while it's ending. So here I go. Everybody.